Now, May is both Small Business and Mental Health Awareness Month, and today's guest brings a powerful perspective at the intersection of both. Let me read her bio for you. Dr. Angela Harden Mack is a board certified physician, best selling author, and founder of Live Great Lives. With over 2 decades of medical experience, she now empowers entrepreneurs and high achievers to align their health, mindset, and habits with the demands of leadership and business. Now, through her coaching, courses, and speaking, she helps people not just build success, but to sustain it, a very important factor. Dr. Harden Mack, thank you for joining us. As we get into this, I want to first of all say congratulations to you. You received a high recognition Miss Michigan Corporate America Award 2025.
Yes, good morning, Chris, and thank you so much. Yes, I'm super excited about that award, and it's bringing together several things we're talking about today: business and how do you have wellness and sustainability.
Wow, man. I mean, that is huge. You talk about Miss Michigan, man. That's a huge honor. So wanted to make sure we get that right out the bat, just to level set and help folks really understand who we're talking with today. I want to talk as we get into this, like we said, May is both Small Business and Mental Health Awareness Month. What I guess is some of the most common challenges you see entrepreneurs facing today?
Chris, I tell you, in the times that we're in, when we talk about stress, there are some common challenges that we are seeing, and I am seeing both as a physician and also as a wellness coach. People are reporting feeling stressed. I feel the pressure, I feel stress. People come in saying that I feel more anxious. They talk about anxiety and also isolation. Yes, I'm building my business or I'm growing my career and building my business, but I'm not always connected to people. How do I have that human touch, that human factor? And so stress, anxiety, and feeling isolated, very common.
I want to go back to that isolation piece because, we're in a society today. You and I, we're doing this via Zoom. We can pick up the phone, call one another. There's so many ways for us to stay in contact with people today, but yet we're feeling more isolated than ever. Can you speak to why that may be?
There are a number of reasons why we are definitely seeing more instances and we're hearing reports that people feel isolated. Remote work is beautiful. I enjoy the telehealth. I enjoy this and the ability to work from home. But when we are working remotely, we don't get that water cooler talk. We don't have the opportunity to walk down the hall or go to the next floor to connect with a colleague. So while the remote work is very convenient, individuals, if not being intentional about connecting, will feel isolated. And also, we know that as we are progressing the career ladder, or as individuals, as entrepreneurs are scaling their business, there are times when you are doing the thing, you are working on your business or your career, where you are not in those environments where there are other people there. So remote work, and also while we are advancing and then scaling businesses.
You said something in that piece. You talked about, not having those water cooler talks. And many times, I guess, when we were not forced to do remote work, things of that nature, sometimes we avoided those type of conversations. We didn't want to be a part of that. But now
Yeah,
we
yeah.
crave it because we don't have that human connection like you talked about.
Absolutely,
I guess
absolutely.
I guess we're never satisfied, right?
Absolutely. And I think that now that, like you said, you don't miss the water until the well runs dry. Now we're beginning to realize that there are some other important things that take place with the water cooler talks. Now, not all of them. Sometimes they're just honestly for social release and connection, but sometimes that may be your next connection. That may be someone who is open to support you, to advocate for you. So while we don't have the water cooler talks in the office, we have to create and we have to identify and network other places where we can come together and have the water cooler talks.
I love it. I love it. So when we talk about this isolation piece, and again, feeling alone, could that be one of the factors that leads us into our next segment? We're talking about burnout and, just again, overexertion because we're not communicating with other people, because we're not getting out. Many times entrepreneurs, they're told to just go all in, just grind it out, that whole sleep when you die mentality. Talk a little bit about how those things could possibly contribute to burnout.
Yes, we are creatures and we are meant to live in community. We need that. We need the connection. We need to not only celebrate others, but we also thrive when individuals are there to celebrate us. And if we spend a lot of time isolated, not only are we missing that connection, but we tend to micromanage possibly, and we tend to do more on our own instead of delegating. When we delegate, it's important because we are authorizing other people to assist us. So when we talk about our energy, burnout is at the extreme. And burnout is not just about being physically exhausted, but it's mental exhaustion as well. And it's about being disconnected. Where previously brought you joy in your job or your business is no longer providing that same amount of fulfillment. So before we get to that extreme way over here, burnout, which is physical and mental exhaustion, we have some things over here. We have the day to day, we're just getting things done. And then we may begin to feel some pressure. Then we may experience overload, and people may refer to it in different ways. Then there can be overwhelmed. You're looking, going, oh my goodness, this is a lot. You don't feel necessarily like stuck like the deer, right? You're in there and you can't do anything, you're frozen, but you begin to feel sluggish and weighed down, or mentally, you may have some of that fogginess. And then when we get you feeling exhaustion, it's not just about going to sleep for a couple of hours more, a couple of days. It takes more to overcome that exhaustion. And so if you're physically exhausted and mentally exhausted and disconnected from your job, from your career, and you feel as though you have less autonomy or ability to make changes and decisions, that's burnout. Just like we see those matches where it's like just fizzling out.
Yeah.
That's how we feel. So
let's talk about that. No, go
Okay,
ahead. You may be going there. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, so it's important that we have awareness so that we don't want to get to burnout, right? It's just like if your car light comes on, we don't want to drive around. And as a matter of fact, we don't. We have regular service intervals. We take our cars in for a checkup. We're listening, we're watching. And when there are indicators that, something is off balance, we go to the specialist. Hey, this is going on with my vehicle, and they check it out. We have indicators in our lives to let us know if things are going on. And like you mentioned, we can be so focused on the grind, or for me, I talk about the hustle, or some people say I'm getting the bag, that we miss the signs along the way. And then it gets to the point where, ow, or I'm burnt out. And then it's the cart, we're chasing the cart, right? But we can identify those indicators before it gets to burnout.
Yeah. And talk about what are some of the things that we can do, because you're right. We can see the signs, the light is on, but we ignore it, and we're going to take care of that later because, like you said, I've got to get to the bag. What are some of the things that we can do to prevent that getting to that level?
Conversations like this very important because we are bringing awareness. We're having the vital, the essential conversations to say stress is real, the struggle is real, burnout is real. So having an awareness. The next is that you have to become familiar with your body. Stress is a response. We all have stress. The body responds to those increased demands and energy requirements. And whether it's something that's positive and we're excited, the new job, the promotion, you remodeling your house, or the workload, the going through traffic, or you have some disconnect in relationships, we are responding to our body. So being aware that stress is the response physically, mentally, and emotionally. And then where does stress reside in your body? That's very important. Do you feel it here? Shoulders? Do you feel it here? Tension headaches? Do you feel it here? Maybe those palpitations? Are you one where your stress resides in your belly or in your gut? You can't eat, your stomach is nervous, queasy. You may have irritable bowel syndrome. So awareness, know the stress is real, know that it's your body's response. Begin to have an awareness of where is stress in your body, and then identify ways that you may be able to minimize your triggers for your stress. We can't always eliminate them, but we may be able to reduce the intensity or the frequency.
Wow. That's powerful, because I never thought about the fact that stress can really, I guess, show itself stronger in some certain parts of the body. You always just think it's just your mind, but you're right there. Now that you listed it the way that you just did, there have been times I think, okay, yeah, I may have felt it more in my gut. And I guess it may depend on the situation. It raises triggers a different level of stress. So it triggers a different part of the body in some ways. Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Wow. Well, that's why we're talking with you.
Yeah.
The other part of that is talking with someone like you know, and of course, let's face it, in our community, you know, many times there's a stigma associated with it that, again, we don't want to reach out for help. But I think, you know, we are starting to see a little bit more and more where folks are talking about having conversations with their therapists, things of that nature. Talk about how you guys are working in the field to make it more accommodating for folks like us who may be a little bit more reluctant to reach out for help.
Absolutely. And, I'm so excited because I truly have experienced and lived through this shift. At the start of my career, when I was in residency and training, there still was a bigger stigma as it relates to mental health. We talked about depression a little bit, we talked about anxiety, but both in the society realm, there wasn't as much emphasis on it's okay. This really is okay. And this is real. It's not something that you're making up. These are real symptoms, and we have resources to take care of them. And so now that the stigma is being reduced, it's not completely gone, but I tell you,
Yeah.
so much improvement and progress has been made. Now people know it really is okay. Number one, it's okay for me to go and talk to my doctor, or talk to, sometimes it may be the pastoral care, sometimes it may be a counselor, to say something is not right, or I'm not feeling well, or I just don't have any get up and go. So people are beginning to identify that there are resources available, that it's okay. And another key thing that I think is so important is that we are emphasizing the mind body connection. For so
Yeah.
long, health was just, it's your physical health and it's here. And now, okay, you have some things with mental health, but no, they are separated. It's the body, it's the mind. And then we talk about holistic, the spirit part of us. So when you are feeling sad or blue, or maybe mentally you may have some brain fog going on, you feel it in your body many times. Or if your body is tired, you feel run down, you feel weighted, burdened, that may impact your mood, that may impact how you are perceiving and looking at things. So the awareness is there, stigma is decreased, we're welcoming people, we have resources, and this mind body connection important.
Wow. This may, I never like to put anyone on the spot, and this may put you on the spot a little bit. And if you don't know it, you say we don't know, you don't know it, and we'll keep on.
Uh-huh.
But you know, you said when you talk about that whole spirit connection of mind, body, and spirit, it made me think of the point that, you know, we are in a time where more and more people are falling away from the church, so to speak, and are not attending religious services. So, and then we're seeing increased in stress. So could it be that these two are related? And if you happen to be someone who's no longer attending religious services for whatever that reason is, how do you then fulfill that spiritual connection that you need in order to be able to offset some of these stress factors that we're talking about? Mm.
Absolutely. I think that, it's one of those situations where the chicken or the egg. I think for some individuals, if the time for connecting spiritually is decreased, absolutely they may feel it. And it may be the other way around. And so it's important for each individual to tap into, where does my faith, or where does my spirituality play a role? Spirituality is the general, the connection to your higher power, what you believe, your faith, your principles. That's the broad view. The religion is how I do it. Where do I go with my faith community? What day do I worship, or how do I practice those disciplines? So it's very important that we understand that there is a difference between spirituality and religion, and to understand that spirituality, spiritual wellness is very important for many individuals with being connected and centered and managing stress sometimes.
Yeah. And is that something typically individuals in your field also assist with, that whole spiritual connection piece as well?
Yes,
Okay.
and that, as a matter of fact, that's one of the things that inspired me years ago to delve further. For me personally, this has been a part of who I am and how I practice being healthy. As I saw more patients coming in, and we talked about this, and then as I'm coaching individuals, and now in society, people want to incorporate, and people are looking for that spiritual connection with them.
Yeah.
And I just dropped my, I'm just going to get my thing here 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay, yes.
I like that. I like that. So let's talk about this. I mean, we talk about, with rising costs, market shifts, things of that nature. In our current administration, and only a little bit over 100 days in. So that means we have 3 more years of maybe an unpredictable economy.
Mhm.
Things can be pretty tough. How do we develop this mental toughness, if you will? We've talked a lot about how stress factors can come on and how they can impact you. But I believe that there may be some ways that you can develop mental toughness.
Yes, yes. One of the I've been sharing this message lately, and it's not just for women. I think it's for all of us. Women, we tend to have that extra that we contend with. And it's important for us to redefine strength. Strength doesn't mean you just go, 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 and you don't take time. It doesn't mean that you ignore those indicators. Stress is that you have the ability to say everything is not always okay or I need help. So it's important for us to redefine strength. And then when we take time to take care of ourselves, that it's guilt free.
Mm.
When we are getting the bag, we're in the hustle, we are pursuing the dreams, the business, the career. We're high achievers. We are accustomed to getting the thing done. We're accustomed to having your goals and having your checklist and getting in there. But before you achieve, right, you're a high achiever, you're a high performer. Before you're a high performer, you have to be. You have to focus on you. Who are you? So you have to focus on the being before the performing, before the achieving. And in this time where there's so much chatter and so many messages coming out, taking time to be, nourish you, who you are, very important. And putting you at the top of your business plan or your career plan, focusing on your health or your wellness, whichever term you use, important because when you do that, you'll be intentional. You will, even though there's a lot of noise and chatter, you will be able to put that aside a little bit and go, I need to focus on me so that I can navigate that. And that's going to help with that mental toughness. I know you go, but focus on being really is going to position you to begin to think about your mental toughness.
Yeah, yeah. I think we probably all heard it before. You can't pour from an empty cup. Yeah, so
Yes,
you have to fill
yes,
yourself first. I love that. I
yes,
love that. As we
yes.
get ready to land this, let's talk about yourself. Let's bring it home a little bit. What do you feel has been the principle to your success?
The principles, my success, a big one is when I gave up Superwoman. I had that
Mm,
Superwoman cape on. I had that S on my chest, and I was going and doing things. I was achieving, but I was exhausted. And it wasn't until someone brought to my attention, like, what are you doing? Why are you attempting to do everything? I was going so fast, I didn't respond initially. But when I paused and thought about it, like, okay, you're right. I was afraid, I was uncertain because that was a realm that I wasn't accustomed to. But when I said I'm taking the S off and I put the W on for wellness, major shift for me. And I gave up that need, that decision that I had to do everything, and everything was always going to fall into place. So, whatever labels men and women we're wearing, because men, it won't be Superwoman, it'll be Superman.
yeah, yeah.
If you're attempting to do it all, again, I let that go. Let it go.
Wow. That is so powerful because we think the only way we're going to achieve is to do it all and to be all things to all people and show up every time for everybody and all those things. But what you just said is really the complete opposite. You have to say no to a lot of things in order to be, that great in that one area. So thank you so much for sharing that. How can folks get a hold of you?
Absolutely. Chris would love to connect with individuals. LinkedIn, my profile, I'm always there, and we can connect at Dr. Angela Harden Mack. Also, my website, livegreatlives.com. And there's a way where you can send a message and you can find out what's going on with Dr. Angela and the Live Great Lives world. And those are probably the two easiest and fastest ways. And the email is also listed in those two places. So I'd love to connect.
All right, good stuff. Before we land this, any closing words, anything you'd like to share?
Yes, I want to share, thank you so much, Chris, with you and the audience, is that I want you to think of being well. It's not about being perfect. It's not about you have to do everything and carry this alone, but to be well. Elevate your well being so that you can be the best. You can have the complete experience of who you are. And when you put your wellness first, your whole personal wellness first, everything will come together for you. So be well.
Wow. Dr. Harden Mack, thank you so much. I mean, I believe what we have just done here today is reminded ourselves that, entrepreneurship is an internal journey just as much as an external journey. And at the end of the day, I mean, if we're going to be successful in business or anything else, it's all centered around the person who's leading the business. And well, that's us and ourselves. So we have to take care of ourselves before we can pour into others. So I will just ask those that are listening and watching today to please share this conversation with another entrepreneur or someone who's aspiring to go into business so they can get it right out the gate. So again, thank you, Dr. Hardmack, for being with us.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you.
All right.